At Christmas, we lit the Christ candle, acknowledging that hope, joy, peace, and love had come into our world through the birth of Jesus. Tonight, we acknowledge the final night of Jesus on earth before his death. On this night, he was betrayed, beaten, and then executed through crucifixion. On this night, we hear his call to remember his sacrifice and to know that it was all for us. We celebrate, even in the darkness, that his love for us is deep enough to die so that we might live.
Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him one after the other, "Surely you don't mean me, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "You have said so."
On the night that Jesus was betrayed, arrested, and killed, he spent time with his closest friends, knowing he would not again see them before the darkness ahead. In this season of darkness, what friends do you miss? Spend some time praying for them now.
They went to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." And he took with him Peter and James and John, and began to be distressed and agitated. And he said to them, "I am deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and keep awake." And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. He said, "Abba, Father, for you all things are possible. Remove this cup from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want." He came and found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, "Simon, are you asleep? Could you not keep awake 1 hour?
Keep awake and pray that you may not come into the time of trial. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." And again he went away and prayed, saying the same words. And once more he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were very heavy, and they did not know what to say to him. He came a third time and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Enough, the hour has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners."
Spend a few moments reflecting on those times when you've wanted to give up. What were they like? How did they affect your emotions, your body, your soul? Spend a moment in prayer asking God to help you know that you are not alone in those moments.
And even as Jesus said this, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived with a crowd of men armed with swords and clubs. They had been sent by the leading priests and elders of the people. The traitor, Judas, had given them a prearranged signal. You will know which one to arrest when I greet him with a kiss. So Judas came straight to Jesus. Greetings, Rabbi, he exclaimed, and gave him the kiss. Jesus said, My friend, go ahead and do what you have come for. Then the others grabbed Jesus and arrested him. But one of the men with Jesus pulled out his sword and struck the high priest's slave, slashing off his ear. Put away your sword, Jesus told him. Those who use the sword will die by the sword.
Spend a few moments reflecting on what it was like for Jesus to be betrayed by one of his closest friends. What sorrow do you think he felt? How might it have weighed on him as he moved through the events to come?
So they seized him and led him to the high priest's residence, and Peter followed at a distance. The soldiers lit a fire in the courtyard and sat around it for warmth, and Peter joined them there. A servant girl noticed him in the firelight and began staring at him. Finally, she spoke. This man was with Jesus. Peter denied it. Woman, he said, I don't even know the man. After a while, someone else looked at him and said, You must be one of them. No, sir, I am not, Peter replied. And about an hour later, someone else flatly stated, I know this fellow is one of Jesus' disciples, for both are from Galilee. But Peter said, Man, I don't know you. What is it that you're talking about? And as he said the words, a rooster crowed.
Spend a few moments reflecting on times that you may not have lived as Christ has called you to. Maybe you didn't show grace to someone. Maybe you didn't help when you could. Spend a moment in prayer asking God to help you to live more like Christ in the days ahead, even when it is hard.
Then Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus, and asked him, Are you the king of the Jews? Jesus answered, Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me? Pilate replied, I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?"
Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." And Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." And Pilate asked him, "What is the truth?"
The kingdom of Christ is nothing like it was expected to be. Jesus' kingdom is one that has space for all and seeks to transform the world in which we live. In what ways have you sought the kingdom of the world over the kingdom of Christ? Spend a few moments asking God to help you to seek the kingdom of Christ first, moving forward.
Now the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus killed. The governor again said to them, "Which of the two do you want me to release for you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "Then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" All of them said, "Let him be crucified." Then he asked, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Let him be crucified." So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took some water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves." Then the people as a whole answered, "His blood be on us and on our children." So he released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified.
We often see moments in our world where something bad is exchanged for something good. In this time of darkness, we've seen the hoarding of needs, the ignoring of the least among us, and the loss of hope in the face of uncertainty. Spend a moment asking God to help you see the spaces where you can be a presence of good in a world of darkness.
The soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is, the praetorium, and called together the whole company of soldiers. They put a purple robe on him, then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on him. And they began to call out to him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Again and again they struck him on the head with a staff and spit on him. Falling on their knees, they paid homage to him. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to crucify him.
While we don't often mock Christ, we each have moments where we doubt his presence in our lives. Know that doubt is okay, but that we can't let it cause us to lose hope. In what ways have you struggled with doubt? Spend a moment in prayer asking God to help you know God's presence and God's call to hope in the days ahead.
When the 6th hour had come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And some of the bystanders hearing it said, "Behold, he is calling Elijah." And someone ran and filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a reed, and gave it to him to drink, saying, "Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come down and take him down." And Jesus uttered a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood facing him saw that in his way he breathed his last, he said, "Truly this man was the Son of God."
He then began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, chief priests, and teachers of the law, that he must be killed and after 3 days rise again.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they laid him in a tomb? Were you there when they laid him in a tomb? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?